Hi, this is Alvin from Dr. Wealth. We just received the news that Alibaba has been added to the delisting list, and that means that Alibaba might get delisted eventually from the US stock market. But before you panic or anything, please watch this video and I'll explain to you the situation and what are your options that you can do if you're holding the Alibaba shares listed in the US market. So the first of all, let's explain what this delisting list is all about. It started in the year 2020, where the US made it into a law, right, called the Holding Foreign Companies Accountable Act, or HFCAA in short. And that means that it gives the regulators the power to delist a company if it fails to comply with the American audit standards, okay, for 3 years in a row, right? So now they have the ability to do so, and they have indeed delisted some of the stocks in the past 1 year or so, right? So what is this significance, right? So we have seen the list, and it is more than 150, right? The last time I counted it, and you can see that majority of these companies are from China, right? The ADRs over there, and you can see popular names like Weibo, like Baidu, like even Futu. So these are pretty well-known names in China, right? So these companies are being risked of delisting from the US market. And what happens when the stock get delisted, right? And before even going into that, there are some talks that are going on between China and US to get this resolved. China sounds a lot more positive than the US counterpart. So you can see in the news starting from March, April this year, right? You can see that China say that they are talking about this issue with the US, and they feel that they are optimistic that the deal can be reached. But when you look at the US side, right, where they talk about this same issue, they say that the remaining significant issues remain, and that they are not very positive that they can come out with an agreement, right? And this is the latest. SEC's boss, Gensler, has also cast doubt on whether this delisting issue can be resolved between the two parties. So we can safe to say that this delisting problem, after negotiation for so many months, nothing has been done. Progress is very slow. In fact, there is no progress at all. We can be sure that Alibaba, since it's been added to this delisting list, there's a very high chance that Alibaba will be delisted. Okay, so I think that is assumption that we should work on, and let's see what are the things that can happen next and what investors can choose to do, right, with this piece of news. So I want to bring in DiDi. Okay, we all know that DiDi was one of also the blockbuster IPO that was well watched, but it was a disaster because of even the China side didn't agree with what they are doing, right? Having to disclose some of the sensitive data to the public, especially to a foreign country, right? So the government eventually forced DiDi to get out of the market, but at the same time, DiDi was also added to the delisting list by the US. So it was a double whammy for them. And it was delisted on 14 June 2022. Okay. And it is not the end, because even if you are holding DiDi shares and you didn't do anything about it, you are still holding the shares, just that they are no longer trading on New York Stock Exchange, but they are listed on the OTC market, or the over-the-counter market. This is just not the main board, right? It is like a really I wouldn't say it's a secondary market. It's just not the usual listing that people look at, right? It is like more like a black market, okay, if I can put it that way. And liquidity generally is lower, and disclosures, all these are lesser as well, right? So actually it's still trading. Okay, you want to sell it, you can, and the ticker has changed from DIDI to DIDIY. Okay, so that is the new ticker for DiDi. The share price is still trading. Okay, you can look at the history of the trading prices are there as well. Okay, so you can see that it is at the OTC market. This is not on NYSE anymore. Okay, but most importantly, it is still trading, which means you can buy and sell if you wish to. Okay, so we have another parallel is Tencent, right? Tencent is listed in Hong Kong, and it is also listed as an OTC in US. Okay, it is not listed on NYSE or NASDAQ, but it's listed in the OTC market in the US. So you can buy that, right? Or you can buy the primary listing that is in Hong Kong. The ticker is 700, And while in the ADR, the OTC market is TCEHY, that is the ticker name. Okay, so you can see they move in tandem, right? So there is not much difference in terms of the price movement. There may be some minute changes, differences, but it is not big. You can see the chart. I put it side by side. Their pattern of their trading history is very, very similar. Okay, and that brings us back to Alibaba, right? So using DiDi and Tencent example, I want to explain to you what can happen to Alibaba. So we know that DiDi has no Hong Kong listing. It tried to list on Hong Kong, but it didn't happen, and it got delisted from NYSE. Okay, and the ticker went to the change to DIDIY, which is trading in the OTC market. And when you look at Tencent, which I explained just now, they are primarily listed in Hong Kong. There is no listing in NYSE, and they have an OTC counter that is trading, okay, under the ticker TCEHY. And Alibaba currently has a listing, which is a secondary listing in Hong Kong, and the primary listing is in NYSE, and it has no OTC counter at this point in time. So what can happen is that they are going to upgrade the listing in Hong Kong from secondary to primary, right? And then the NYSE listing, eventually we assume that it will get delisted, so it will disappear from there. And then there will be an OTC equivalent. So the NYSE listing will get converted to the OTC listing in that process. Okay, so that is what I think will happen. I don't know what the final ticker is. I just put there, BABAY, since like they like to add a Y at the back. So I assume that that is the ticker that will change to. But of course, time will tell, right? What is the actual ticker that they'll be trading at? Okay, so what are your options if you're holding to the American listed Alibaba, which is the ticker BABA, right? So the first option is that you can choose to convert the BABA into 9988, which is the one that's listing in Hong Kong. These stocks are fungible. That means you can convert from one to another and vice versa. So one BABA share is equivalent to 89988 shares. Okay, so there's a conversion rate. But you have to check with your broker because there is a conversion fee that you need to pay in order for you to make that conversion happen. If I'm not wrong, it costs a few $100s. So you have to see how much shares you have, the value of your shares, whether is it economically for you to make that conversion. If it is not economical, you can choose option 2, which is you sell the BABA shares and then you buy the 9988 that's listed in Hong Kong. Okay, so in this case, you just incur the brokerage fees, right? Which might be lower than the conversion fee, depending on the size of your value of these BABA shares that you have, right? So that is the second option. Okay, and usually you won't have a big difference because 9988 and BABA, they should move in tandem as well because they are fungible, so you can convert one from another. Arbitrage traders will make it quite similar in terms of their comparable value. And even forex is not a concern because even you convert from USD to Hong Kong dollar, they are packed. Okay, so forex losses will also be minimal. So this is a rather good option, right, for you to consider if you want to stay clear of the delisting threat. And then option number 3 is that if you have given up on Alibaba, you feel that, oh no, man, so many troubles, so many problems, one after another, and you have given up, and maybe this is a good time for you to just dump it, right? Take the loss and move on. Then you don't need to worry about the delisting and all. So this is only if you really want to sell it once and for all. Okay, so that's option 3. And then the last option is that you can also choose to just hold BABA and let it convert to the OTC version. Okay, and you will still be able to sell it if you want to, right? So that will keep your holdings in the US market rather than convert to Hong Kong market. Okay, so you can see there are many ways to deal with this. Regardless which one you choose, just make sure that it's best for your situation and your context. Okay. So in summary, delisting is very likely the way I see it because China and US haven't come to agreement how they want to handle this. But delisting, understand that is not the end of the world, right? Because there have been precedents like DiDi. It's still trading, right? It's not a problem. You still can get out if you want to, right? You still can buy more if you want to. And there are many options beyond just holding the OTC version because Alibaba has the Hong Kong listing, which you can convert to, right? Or you can sell the US one and buy the Hong Kong one. Okay, so these are many options that you can explore as a BABA shareholder. So just remember, okay, don't panic. At the end of the day, Alibaba, no matter what happens, whether they're delisted or stay listed, it will be tradable one way or another. Okay, so I hope this clarifies the situation with Alibaba in terms of the delisting risk. Okay, so now if you really like the video, please give me a thumbs up and remember to subscribe to this channel so that you get more updates, important updates like this, and analysis of what the situation is all about. Thank you very much. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you again. Goodbye.